Denis Naughten.
Thank you, Lascan Corda.
That's right.
The fact is that if we don't have an agreement from the British Parliament and a transition arrangement in place for Brexit by the 29th of March, then it has the potential to decimate the economy of our provincial towns and right across rural Ireland. But regardless of a transition arrangement being put in place or not, we will be facing into a new relationship with our neighbours in the United Kingdom from the 1st of January 2021. That's just 22 months away. So we need now to start building resilience into our economy, the economy of our provincial towns and of the rural communities around them. I think there are three key areas where we need to focus. That is in the area of agriculture, in the area of local business and in the area of tourism. Agriculture and the agri-food sector, as we know, are to the fore in terms of any change in the relationship between Ireland and the United Kingdom. Beef and suckler farmers in particular are facing a particularly challenging situation even without Brexit. 1 in every 2 cattle reared in Ireland are eaten in the United Kingdom, and we need to build resilience into this sector urgently. We need to see an immediate action being taken with a clear focus from On Board BIA. They need to act to protect the market share of Irish beef on the British market in a no-deal Brexit scenario. In such a scenario, it's imperative that we differentiate our beef in a manner that ensures that it is the preferential consumer choice to other imported beef products in Britain. Bord Bia must put plans in place to make British consumers aware of the positive attributes of Irish beef in preference to beef currently imported and produced in third countries such as the United States or South America. I think it's important that we point out to British consumers that 70% of the deforestation of the Amazon, the lungs of our planet, is to provide land for cattle ranches. 11% of the greenhouse gas emissions involved in food production are directly linked to food transportation. So if we have to bring beef from Buenos Aires to London 11,000 kilometres, surely it makes far more sense to be bringing it from Dublin to London 464 kilometres, 24 times closer to London. The distance from London to Newcastle is the same as the distance from London to Dublin. And these points need to be brought home to British consumers in a situation like that. I think we also need to explore the possibility for a live cattle trade into the UK for our store and finished cattle in such a scenario. We will be looking at significantly lower tariffs than would be the case for carcasses going into the UK. For example, on the other side of the European Union, Russia has a 5% tariff on live imports of cattle. And this is potentially one area that South America could not compete with Irish beef production. And I think it is an area that needs to be explored by Bord Bia and needs to be looked at now. Finally, in the agri-food sector, I think we should be establishing, just like we've done in the dairy sector, a Kerrygold brand. We should be establishing a similar type brand for Irish beef that can actually target premium global markets for beef. And I'm talking about certified, grass-fed, extensively reared suckler beef. And there is an opportunity to market that in a global market, to get a premium price for it, and we should be doing it, and it should be the responsibility of Bord Bia to drive that forward with producers right across the length and breadth of this country. Another area that I think we need to focus on is the area of tourism. It's not the strongest aspect of the local economy in my part of the country, but nationally it is of significant importance in provincial and rural Ireland. But yet, in my own constituency, Overseas tourists support approximately 1,000 jobs across Roscommon and Galway. And the vast bulk of those overseas tourists are coming from the United Kingdom. Now, we have put a plan in place through the new brand, Ireland's Hidden Heartland, to build resilience into this sector locally. But it also allows us to grow and develop this sector so that it can provide high-value employment in rural communities across East Galway, Roscommon and the adjoining counties. But it is important that we support Fáilte Ireland in their ambition to develop and grow this brand. Key to that is marketing the Beara Breffni Way, which is Ireland's answer to the Camino, from the Beara Peninsula in West Cork, right up through the middle of Ireland to Blackline in County Cavan and on to the glens of Antrim. And that needs to be marketed globally, just like we have done with the Wild Atlantic Way. In tandem with that, we need to develop the Blue Way from Limerick right up along the Shannon Corridor up to the Shannon Pot, and again exploit and develop that. And thirdly, we need to develop the Greenway between Dublin city centre and Ayr Square in Galway, through Athlone, through Ballinasloe and on to Galway. And it is key that those three elements of infrastructure are put in place if we are going to successfully develop the Ireland Hidden Heartland tourism brand and provide resilience into the tourism sector in our region. The final point I want to highlight is the need to build resilience into our business and enterprise sector. And in fairness to the government, they have been doing a lot of work in relation to this, have been holding regional roadshows across the country. But where I'm really focused on is local business, especially those that are indirectly impacted by a future where the United Kingdom is outside the European Union. And while the local enterprise boards can support companies of up to 10 employees, those that are over 10 employees, that are not exporting or don't have the potential to export, are effectively being cast adrift at the moment. And these specific businesses are the bedrock of the economy of many of our towns and villages across Ireland. They're providing locally and nationally traded services, and they should come under the umbrella of the local enterprise offices. I also think we need to look at the remit of Enterprise Ireland. The criteria should be altered to be able to support companies who are involved in import substitution, which hasn't been looked at to date. It is only focused on, Enterprise Ireland has only focused on exporting businesses or those with the potential to export, but not in the area of import substitution, especially from non-EU countries and particularly post-Brexit, when the United Kingdom becomes a non-EU country. And I think their remit really needs to be reviewed, and reviewed quickly in this area. The objective must be to protect, to support and to grow these particular local companies. They are the future of many of the smaller towns across Ireland. These are our own local people that came up with an idea, started up a business, have grown that maybe over generations, employing 12, 15, 20, 50, 60, 70, 100 people in many of our provincial towns, in many of our smaller rural communities. And it is important that we actually support them now. It's also important that we work with them to identify their vulnerability in relation to Brexit, because many of them do not realise, because they're not directly exporting, that they are vulnerable and prone to the changing dynamic across the Irish Sea. Because they may not be directly affected, but their customers or their suppliers may be directly affected by it. The final point I just want to make, and that is something the Taoiseach flagged last week in one of the interviews that he did, and that was in relation to the EU cross-border directive and the treatment abroad scheme. two very successful schemes providing the public here in this country to access to health care where maybe they can avoid waiting lists or get urgent care that they need. And I'm glad that we've got the reassurance that those provisions will remain in place after March of this year. The question I have is, and my understanding is, that that commitment is only up to the 31st of December 2020. And I think we need to provide clarity beyond that date, because if people are involved in relation to treatments that require revisiting consultants, they need to know that they will be, in January and February 2021, continue to be able to access that health care either in Northern Ireland or in Britain. Thank you.